You're listening to the Cars of Carlisle Network, podcast episode number 140, featuring Andy Lally and Lance Miller, business partners in Andy Lally ALIVE. This is your podcast. Together it's all about car community, car culture.
Cars of Carlisle is your favorite internationally downloaded podcast about all things automotive. Darren and his CFC team are ever searching for interesting automotive happenings, real stories about real car people, and fun features to inform and entertain you. Each week, the Cars of Carlisle crew brings you show topics ranging from car shows to team adventures to auto racing weekends to behind-the-scenes human interest stories from car nuts that live across town, across the country, or even across the globe. Come join the road trip.
Today, hang out with business partners, race car driver Andy Lally and Carlisle Events co-owner Lance Miller as they tell us about their joint venture, Andy Lally ALIVE. AndyLallyAlive.com is focused on changing the game of influencer marketing with creative approaches to support the automotive and motorsport industries. By applying innovation and technology, Andy Lally ALIVE serves fans and enthusiasts via digital marketing and various business entities. It's time to talk business and racing. So, let's get revved up.
Hello and welcome back, Cubers, to your favorite informative automotive podcast. I am your trusted host, Darren. We appreciate you just being part of this whole community and being part of the show. Thank you for coming back again this week. Here in just a few minutes, we're going to be speaking with two gentlemen that know their way around a racetrack and are both continuing to build some incredible online services and tools to serve the automotive industry, and that is through their venture, Andy Lally ALIVE. So stick around. We are going to be speaking with race car driver Andy Lally and Lance Miller, co-owner of Carlisle Events. But first, wanted to say how excited I am to have Andy on the show, and Lance, as you know, who've been on the show before. Andy, as you're going to learn, is an IMSA WeatherTech champion. He is a 5-time winner of the 24 Hours of Daytona, and that's a hint for this week's trivia question, by the way. He is a 4-time winner of the 6 Hours of the Glen, Petit Le Mans winner, 12 Hours of Sebring winner. He's been at the podium, or on the podium at 24 Hours of Le Mans. You'll hear about that. He's driven stock car. I mean, he is not only that, but he's an entrepreneur. And along with Lance Miller, who you know, who is instrumental in all the great work that Carlisle Events is doing, these guys are really putting it together and continuing to improve the way that we interact online. So kudos to them and really excited to have them be on the show. Let's take a moment to recognize our exclusive OEM automotive dealer sponsor, and that is Porsche Mechanicsburg. Would like to thank Nick Ramagosa and the entire team at Porsche. We are genuinely proud to be affiliated with them and have them as a sponsor. If you live anywhere in the Washington, Baltimore area, or anywhere in the greater Harrisburg, Pennsylvania area, you owe it to yourself to check out Porsche Mechanicsburg. They have recently completed a brand new state-of-the-art Porsche Center, which is spectacular. And that world-class facility is located at 6625 Carlisle Pike in Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania, which is just a few 12-minute, 15-minute ride to the east of Carlisle, and visit them. They are part of the Faulkner Automotive Group, and that has been around since 1932. And with that, at Porsche Mechanicsburg, they are a dedicated group of world-class professionals. That is the place to go if you are interested in a Porsche 718, the new 992 generation of the Porsche 911, perhaps a Panamera, a Macan, maybe even a Taycan or a Cayenne. Be sure to look them up and check them out. We'd like to say thank you to Porsche Mechanicsburg for all their support. Okay, trivia question. Because we're talking about, we're talking with Andy and Lance, who both have done quite a bit of racing, but Andy being a professional driver, I figured let's do a question that has to do with Daytona. And this being, how long is a single lap of the 24 Hours of Daytona race? That answer awaits at the end of this episode. So, it is time to go to the studio conference line and now speak with Andy and Lance. Hello, Cubers. This is Darren, and I am talking to you from Studio A in Carlisle, Pennsylvania tonight. And I have on the phone Andy Lally and Lance Miller. Guys, thanks for joining me. I appreciate you being on the call.
Happy to be on.
Excellent. Our pleasure for sure.
Well, I know that listeners follow this podcast from 43 countries, so maybe not everybody is as familiar with American professional sports car and stock car racing. But Andy Lally is... You've been in the racing world for quite some time. In fact, I know that you have, from everything from NASCAR to as well as the WeatherTech Sports Car Championship, Audi R8, Magnus Racing. We'll get into some of your career, and Lance can talk about some of his racing experience too. But we also want to talk about Andy Lally Live and the fact that there's some new elements to that enterprise that you both are partnering on, and what's involved with that as far as digital auction platform, and you have registration for streaming event promotion and for tracks clubs and driving schools, and so there's a lot going on, and we'll hit on all of that. But I wanted just to maybe go a little deeper and have you both talk about kind of your backgrounds, and I know listeners have know Lance, of course, is co-owner of Carlisle Events, marketing affiliate to them. But Andy, let's start with you. Maybe just talk a little bit about how you knew that you were totally into cars, at what age, and what just got the pistons firing early on for you.
Sure. Well, long story short, it started at an extremely young age when I was just under 5 years old. I took everything with wheels on it that I owned, from like a wagon to this Fisher-Price toy to finally a big wheel, down this big grassy knoll, that big grassy hill behind my house. And it was sort of like a common area for, it was a very young neighborhood, and a lot of kids played on this hill, and I would walk whatever I had with wheels on it up the hill, fly it down the hill, and then take seemingly forever to get back to the top and just rinse and repeat. And one day, the oldest kid on the block, he was maybe 10, came out from his house driving a go-kart. And where he came from, his house, he was kind of at the top of the hill when he got there with the go-kart, and he went down that hill really fast, and it caught my attention. I was there with my dad. He was watching me as I was pushing my big wheel up, and I stopped in my tracks. I remember this clear as day, and I thought that was really cool how fast it went, and that he had basically a little car. It was the first time I was understanding that a kid could drive what looks like a little car. But the game changer was when he turned around at the bottom of the hill and he drove back up the hill. It blew my mind that of all my favorite toys, none of them drove back up the hill, and I had to take seemingly the whole day to get back up to the top of the hill for a quick, 10-second free ride down the hill. Mm-hmm. And that's when I understood really what a motor does. And it was from that point on that I did not stop bugging my family to get a go-kart. And that passion, that love of sport and racing and speed combined for some successful go-karting. And then from there was a lot of luck and meeting the right people at the right time to get an opportunity in cars that just kept going. I mean, there's story after story of a 28-year career for me in car racing after about 5 or 6 years of go-karting that has made me a very fortunate guy.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. Yeah, I liked how you can harken it back to your age 5, and that's what a eureka moment for you.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing. Since then, like you touched on, my career predominantly has been in the IMSA WeatherTech Championship. Previous years, it was called the Rolex Series, the Petit Le Mans, the American Le Mans Series. I've been fortunate to win the 24 Hours of Daytona 5 times. The 6 Hours of the Glen 4 times. I've won Petit Le Mans. I've won the 12 Hours of Sebring. I've been on the podium at the 24 Hours of Le Mans. And I dabble in some stock car stuff too. I had 2 NASCAR Xfinity races this year. We got top fives in both of them, and looking forward to playing on some more road courses if I can put a deal together for 2021. But for 2021, that's signed and sealed for now. I am back with Magnus Racing, which is the team I've been with. This will be the 10th year, and we are making a switch from the Lamborghini Huracan to the new Acura NSX. Okay. That debuted about 3 years ago. I debuted in that car, but then went to the Lamborghini for a couple of years, and now we're switching. I'm switching back to the Acura NSX again.
Well, if I can pause there, just any reflections on in between the Huracan and the NSX? I mean, just its characteristics on the track?
The FIA and the global rules for GT3 have made the similarities between the mid-engine cars very, very close. Okay. Of the GT3 spec, I've now driven the Porsche, the Ferrari, the Lamborghini, the Audi, and the Acura NSX. And with the exception of the Porsche rear engine, when you're on the same tire, we run a spec tire. It's a very similar handling car. You've got different visual ergonomics and cockpit ergonomics that take some getting used to, and some quirks and whatnot. You know, the Audi, the Lamborghini, and the Ferrari, when I got into it, was already a sorted machine. The Acura NSX was brand new, and we were going to be doing the first race with it. So that was 2017. We definitely had some teething problems in the first first third of the year, but then we broke out of that slump with a win in Detroit, the first ever worldwide win for the NSX, and then followed it up 2 weeks later with a win at at Watkins Glen in New York. So we took it from a never was revamp of the old Acura NSX back in the day to a brand new car that we were winning with in the first year. So it was an iconic car. There was a lot of pressure on us because the original NSX was so successful that the team that was put in charge of doing this had a lot on their shoulders, and my teammates Catherine Legg and Jeff Siegel and Oz Negri, along with Mike Shank and the gang, did a good job.
Excellent. Well, that's really appreciate you going deeper on that. Well, I know that to have podium at Le Mans. Tell us a little bit about what that kind of experience is. I mean, what a phenomenal opportunity and experience for you.
I did. I raced a prototype, what is essentially now LMP2 there. I did it 2 years in a row in 2005 and 2006 with a U.S. team called Miracle Motorsports. We ran a Courage chassis, which is based literally hundreds of yards behind pit lane at Le Mans. So it was a very popular team because the French obviously take a lot of pride in their home team chassis manufacturers there. So it was a very cool experience. The first year was a heartbreaking experience where we had a mechanical issue, but the second year we came back and finished third, and it was a wild podium when the people rush the gates and 100,000 people are standing at the base of the podium for almost as far as you can see all the way up pit lane, just packed and cheering and screaming. It was one of the cooler podiums of my life.
Sure, I imagine so. And just the mystique of that track and the race itself. And I don't want to neglect your partner there, Lance. I mean, I want to read after the second question. Kind of will be going back to when you had your eureka moment too, but it's a good segue because what comes to mind with Le Mans is obviously your dad's dream and you being there with John Fitch. You may want to talk a little bit about that.
Are you kidding? I can't compete with what Andy just said. That was, I'm sitting here in awe. So
I know none of us can.
I understand what he said in regards to the podium and just seeing the amount of people. I can't imagine standing on the podium, looking down and seeing the masses.
Right.
It's incredible, and it's hard to describe. It's one of those things that, and I'm sure Andy can attest, you need to go and see it. It needs to be on your bucket list. If you love cars, you love racing, go to Le Mans. It's incredible. So, as you said, in 2010, I ended up taking a car back to Le Mans because it had history. The vehicle that I brought with me was a 1960 Corvette that happened to win its class. And it's an amazing vehicle. It's the pinnacle for Corvette due to the fact that obviously it won its class. It was the very first Corvette to ever do so. It held that title for over 40 years, and it was pretty magnificent to take it back to Le Mans 50 years later and remarkably have John Fitch, one of the co-drivers, there to take a lap around that track prior to the race. I was fortunate enough to get a lap around the racetrack. Andy, you did a few more than just one, right?
But that's pretty cool that you took a piece of history there and got to do that. Did Corvette win that year? I can't remember. 2010, was that a Porsche year or a Corvette year?
That was the year that they changed the motor, if you recall, and unfortunately,
yeah,
it didn't end up so well. So it was painful in the paddock area, but nevertheless, I mean, it was still a historical moment for everybody. It was incredible. And it really didn't hurt our energy as far as bringing the car over, enjoying the excitement of having the vehicle there. And obviously, John Fitch, I got to tell you, I mean, as he had talked about in regards to the French people just being very much into the history and the significance of the race over there, you wouldn't believe he was a total rock star. I mean, he was walking by my side, and people were literally just surrounding us all the time, just asking him to sign, merchandise and, just touch him for that matter. So to be a part of it was just phenomenal, and I was very fortunate to really get to know John during that time frame, and he was 92 years old at the time.
Wow.
So
wow.
Just incredible. And the Corvette team was, unbelievable. I'll never forget. John was like on point all the time. In fact, when we did some interviews and what have you, they would kind of prep us prior, and they'd say, okay, why don't you go this direction, and John, you go this direction. So I'd do my part, and I'd always forget something, and John would actually rope me right back in and essentially like lay it out for me and be like, oh yeah, what do you think of this, Lance? I'm like, oh my gosh, I missed that part. John completely got it. And then we walk away, and this guy's going 100 mile per hour all day long. Mm-hmm. And it was funny, at one point where it was just he and I, and he goes, Lance, I am so tired, I'd love to take a nap. And I look over and I see a friend of mine, Ron Fellows, that ran for Corvette Racing, and he had said, hey, he's like, what's going on, guys? We're just talking. I said, hey, is there any way that John can lay down in one of the driver's quarters? He's like, are you kidding me? Here, I'll give him my room. So it was just neat to have everybody come together, and we were all there in the spirit of, a good time, and at the same time reminiscing an amazing, victory that Fitch and Bob Grossman had achieved, back in 1960. So I was lucky to be a part of it all. And there was a movie about it called The Quest, so it was pretty neat to see it all evolve and actually capture that moment and be able to show my daughter, which was neat.
Oh, for sure. No, and I got to meet John at that premiere in downtown Carlisle. You both autographed a poster from that event in Le Mans. And it's actually framed and in my podcast studio, and it's really good reminiscing, good story. Well, Lance, to be fair, did you have like a 5-year-old epiphany that Andy had something similar
with cars? Well, see, I can't even remotely go into a racing career because my career is literally peanuts. I went out and I played quite a bit, and I still do. I enjoy going out on the track and having fun, but it's typically, I'm going to do SVRA, more vintage stuff, and, just go out, have a good time. I love it, and really the best part for me is going out afterwards and talking to everybody and enjoying that bench racing, and it's more about the people aspect. I love that portion of it. And I'm sure Andy's the same way, it's just a lot of fun because you get to know a lot of different people throughout racing. And the the coolest part too is you learn the boundaries of the vehicle, which unfortunately on a street car, so many people will never ever achieve that. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, if you can get, within 80%, that's huge. And it's amazing what these cars do today. And I just love the fact that, the factories, when I say that, Chevrolet, Ford, what have you, are learning from what, like, the types of Andy are achieving. Mm-hmm. They're coming back, they're giving feedback, they're using that feedback for the street cars, making it a better car for you and I to go out and drive and have fun with. So I just love, the whole aspect of it all.
Yeah, there's still some elements to that race it on Sunday and buy one on Monday kind of aspect. And you're right, the technology does trickle down in most every aspect mechanically of the vehicle. You're right. Well, did you have, I know your late father and best friend, Chip Miller, did he get you behind the wheel, like sitting on his lap when you were like 3 or 4 years old? Did you have one of those, man, I know I'm a car guy of your own stature?
I shouldn't say I always loved cars. I was always around cars because of the fact I pretty much was born into it due to my father just being a hardcore enthusiast, was in just about every club that he could find. So, I was always around them. And in fact, when I was probably lower teens, I actually didn't like cars because of the fact my dad was always like, get away from the cars. I'd always have my buddies over. We had pinball machines in the basement along with 20 cars surrounding them. So I'd go down there with my buddies and I'd play pinball like any other kid would. And then your dad would come down and be like, don't touch the cars. Don't do this. Don't do that. So it became almost like, don't. And I just almost got pushed away where finally it came to the point where, you're about to get your license and you're trying to figure out what kind of car you want. Well, I just wanted like a beater Volkswagen just to go out and play with, throw my surfboard in the back and have fun with this thing. And I didn't have to worry about my dad being like, what did you do? Did you curb it? Did you dent it? Uh-huh. But then, unfortunately, I went and drove a challenge car, a Corvette Challenge Car, which is a late 80s car. And I heard the motor, and I went and hit the throttle, and I blew through the fairgrounds, and I'm like, oh, my God, this is just awesome. And that was it. I mean, it was all over from there. Then all of a sudden I got into cars, and it became, just insanity, I think, just as any car person can tell you. It's a whole different world, and it's great. It's a passion. It's a love. It's a hobby. I love it.
Yeah, that's cool. Very cool. Well, let's shift gears and talk a little about Andy Lally ALIVE, and that's ANDYLALLYALIVE.com. This has been in place for a while, but wanted to talk a little bit about how you guys are working together and partnering and some of the work that I know that you guys have branding and design and messaging and data analytics, and there's the marketing side, but want to take a chance to promote what you guys are doing with the business and the new elements that they're in and what that's going to mean to the industry, particularly motorsports.
Great.
Sure.
Andy, if you want to roll with the first part, go for it.
Sure. Andy Lally ALIVE is Andy Lally Innovations, Ventures, and Experience. And it's a digital marketing and technology company that delivers an ecosystem of customized solutions, services, unique marketing and technology products that support essentially not just motorsports, but all of the automotive industry. Under that umbrella, we've got 3 companies, Track Rabbit, Awesome Joe Auctions, which Lance will go deeper into, and an app called Motorcrush. And this started about 5, coming up maybe even on 6 years now, when I met my first partner in this, David Adadon. He owns a marketing company out of Delaware called Trellis, and we met at a track day. He's a car guy, and I was at New Jersey Motorsports Park basically coaching, doing like kind of a club day as like a guest coach. And I met Dave and we hit it off. And, I've done these kinds of events all over the country for many years now. And there's always that end of the day dinner / hanging out at the club bar or whatever, and you solve all of the world's racing problems on a bar napkin, and the next day you forget about it and you go on to the next city. Well, I did just that with Dave, and we scribbled down, I don't know, 6, 8, 10 sort of ideas that we had both sort of put together and had interests in and whatever. And I left, and Dave had my contact info, and he said, we're going to do something with these ideas. And I, to be totally honest, I was like, yeah, because I get that a lot. And I just don't usually have other people that want to follow through as well. And Dave contacted me the next week and said, hey, I want to talk more about this. Let's get together. And I was into it, but I still didn't have the complete vision, and to be totally honest, I didn't have the complete drive that Dave had to try to do this. I wasn't convinced yet, and he had. I told him I was interested. We could talk, blah blah blah, but I wasn't putting a whole lot behind it. He kept calling and kept pushing and kept saying how we can do this and how we can make this happen, and made it. Basically, he got the ball rolling, and. From there, that's where I met Lance, and it's been a pretty crazy ride these last 4 or 5 years now. Track Rabbit is the thing that we are working on the most with the brand, and it is Track Rabbit something that going into 2021 we're trying to be the support, the background for the industry, for the motorsports industry. By coming up with just low fees, marketing, advertising. Track Rabbit is an automotive and motorsports event registration and administration platform. So we basically help the smaller tracks, teams, schools, etc., clubs, small race series that don't have hundreds of employees and need to outsource their registration for their events, track days, or races.
Right, sure.
And that's been growing really well.
I would imagine too that outsourcing is going to become increasingly more important and relevant as everyone's trying to do more with less and needing help. And this is the digital age where you're obviously able to meet those needs and with your services.
Absolutely, and we're building true partners with industry leading clients. We are close with these people. I know the industry. Dave knows the product, and we're starting from the bottom, and we're just trying to take each club and each track on their own journey because they've all got different desires and needs, and we're trying to tailor to those wants. And I think we're doing a really good job, and I think we have the best product in the sector.
Outstanding. Well, Lance, do you want to talk a little bit about Awesome Joe Auctions?
Sure, I'd be happy to. And I'll hit Track Rabbit too because of the fact I personally use that because of the fact we've done track days for the Chip Miller Amyloidosis Foundation. Whereas, obviously, we're just a small organization, as Andy had said, and what we did was apply it within, and it's amazing because what I love about how we work together is if you need certain adjustments, you call, you make those adjustments, and it's on the fly, and that's where Trellis really comes in and is able to make those adjustments. It's like a small boutique in a sense because of the fact it's not only our small foundation, but it's all these different ones. For instance, if you need to rent out helmets during your track day, what size helmet. There's a lot of different elements to it, and it's nice that Track Rabbit goes in, jumps in, makes sure that everybody now has that benefit. So it's really consistent and good to see it growing, and I see that really cherishing down the road here. So it's exciting stuff. So on to Awesome Joe. It's an online auction, essentially. So as you know, we do our own auctions live at Carlisle Auctions.
Sure.
I love the aspect of, online. I've envisioned this for quite a long time. And again, like Andy, I talked to David, and he's like, oh, this is great. We need to do this. We need to do this. But there's a lot of work behind it. Obviously, there's a lot of competitors as well, but we felt confident jumping into the space is a no-brainer because that's the world. That's the way it's going. Let's face it. It's evolving into, and especially now with COVID, we're seeing it more than ever. If we didn't have technology, think about what would be going on right now. It'd be a totally different world.
Yes.
So as far as online auctions, it's just the way to go. We're doing a lot of neat things that Carlisle Events does as well on Carlisle Auctions. Free listing until it's sold, which is kind of cool. I mean, go out and find that elsewhere. You're not going to. We try to keep the fees very low on the, there's only a 2% for the seller fee and 3% for a buyer fee. Trying to just keep it very obtainable for everybody. Neat thing is we have a live chat support as well, so that's always a good thing to host just in the event that you're having problems, what have you. I mean, which we all do with technology nowadays.
Right.
We just have a lot of great partners as well, throughout. We have Auto Appraisal Group, who we work with at Carlisle as well, Grundy Insurance, which is great, Lockton Motorsports Insurance, Montway Auto, so in the event that you need to get transportation, Motul Oil, I mean, that's always a good thing as well. So we're fortunate to have a lot of ties within the automotive hobby and industry. And obviously, we're fully behind it. And I think our expertise is really what's going to set us apart. Obviously, we know cars. We've been entrenched in them our whole lives, as you both heard, Andy and I. So, we're fortunate to be working together and feel like we have a lot to offer. So it's exciting, a lot of exciting stuff going on. In fact, I was just looking at Awesome Joe right before I got on here, guys. I was looking at, I don't know if you had time to look at it, Darren.
I did, yes.
But I knew your style. You'd like the M4 competition, am I right?
Oh, absolutely, yes. Yeah.
And the 720S would be my bet. That's your take. I don't know. Did you see the 68 Pontiac GTO?
I did not see that one, no.
The reserve was just lifted, I saw, so that was kind of cool. But it's fun to see, It's entertainment for those that just don't want to watch. But if you want to buy a car, if you want to sell your car, it's the perfect opportunity. It's online, it's easy. You can do it from your home, take pictures.
That's right.
So we're all about it and having fun doing it.
Well, even if you're not in the market for a particular car today, you can begin to assess and kind of formulate your dream and your strategy and how you're going to pursue it and acquire it and what have you. So, and I think that's just, it's browsing. It's sort of like when we were kids and you got the Sears catalog at Christmas time. You're not going to get everything in there that you wanted, but man, there was nothing better than just browsing and checking it out. And that's sort of what this offers you.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. So again, it's just another aspect or element to the overall business, and it's really going well. I mean, we're obviously running into a few snags here and there, but really it's pretty limited right now, and all it's doing is making us stronger for down the road. So good stuff.
Absolutely. What is there like a 12-month or anything else that you guys you're looking over the horizon? I mean, obviously, as you say, there's a lot of that. You've got with the boutique style, you're able to make adjustments on the fly, as you said, and really working in an agile way very, very quickly and adapting to the needs of the market and clientele. But are there other things that you think will come out of this over the next year, particularly if the pandemic continues to be oppressive and limit what we can do out and about?
Andy, you want to hit that or you want me?
You can go on with it, but I mean, I've got an opinion on it too. This is definitely something where every year that goes by, there are more and more people buying into doing business this way, and I think I've been extremely fortunate to get an amazing education from both David and from Lance, as well as our team at Alive, that I've been basically able to look over their shoulder and being in the industry quite a bit, and being just like Lance said, from a young age, immersed in this. That doesn't quite mean that I have the amazing technical background. I might have experience and input and whatnot, but some of these guys our guys do an amazing job. Both the Carlisle people and the people at Alive, and I've had a blast learning from them.
And those are the best lessons, when you can roll up your sleeves and be alongside. And as Lance said too, some of our best learnings or lessons come from those when we skin our knees and fall down and get back up and are stronger for it. So I think that's one of the best ways to get through things in life. Just plow right through it.
Agreed.
Lance, any other
Without a doubt. And
thoughts on that?
something we didn't talk about was Motorcrush. That's kind of how we started off, in a sense. And what that is it's an app. Mm-hmm. And envision kind of an online car show. That's what it is. You know, the way I see it is, like, for me, I have a few cars, so I'll upload the cars. It's very easy for me when people come up and talk to me about, hey, you know, tell me more about this particular vehicle. I can just say, hey, check out Motorcrush. I have the car uploaded there. You can see all the pictures. You can read about what I've done to the vehicle, enhancements, that type of stuff. So it's become a great tool for somebody like myself. And certainly I think every car guy out there, car girl out there, you know, certainly could use this tool. The neat part is it talks about a bunch of different events throughout wherever you're at. Obviously, it's going to pinpoint your location and tell you what's going on around that surrounding area.
Yeah, I like that.
And there's about 300,000 unique visitors there, or I should say users. So there's a lot of people using it. And at the same time, it's nice to see all the different variety of vehicles, you know, from everything antique to motorcycles to trucks to, you know, the latest, greatest out there. Mm-hmm. And just interact with one another. So it's just another element, too. And what we're trying to do is just put a bunch of people together and have fun. Yeah. Sounds similar to Carlisle, right?
It really does. This is the digital extension, quite honestly. Yeah, it makes sense.
It is, and that's the fun part of it. You know, use technology, and that's what we're doing.
Yeah,
and it's free.
That's right. That's exactly.
Yeah.
Can't find that every day. That's for sure. Now, I'm so excited for what you guys are pulling together, and it's a bit of a gel for all elements of the hobby, the industry, motorsports, and beyond motorsports. Is there anything else that you'd like to share as far as, I mean, obviously we talked about you can go to motorcrush.com. You've heard Lance and Andy talk about the various products and the kind of the three companies within Track Rabbit, Motorcrush, Awesome Joe Auctions. But is there anything else? I'll give you guys kind of the final lap to say anything as far as promoting the work being done. Again, how to find you guys, obviously Andy Lally ALIVE.com. But I'll let you guys have final say. So Lance, you want to go first?
Sure. Come on out to any of the Carlisle events and look forward to meeting everybody. I mean, reality is it's feedback that we get from everyone. That goes for Carlisle events. That goes for Andy Lally ALIVE. You know, we're all about adjusting and learning from the people that are using our tools and coming to our events, what have you. It's so imperative for success. So, you know, that's the angle we go, and that's the way we drill in. Mm-hmm. So, you know, if you ever have feedback, we're easy to get in touch with. Andy, I know, is on social media a lot, so am I. And Trellis is easy to get a hold of as well. And, you know, David's always there, happy to talk to people. So, you know, we love to listen and learn. That's what it comes down to. So, again, check out our projects and by all means use them and spread the word for us.
Right. No. And Lance, I simply wanted to say, too, that I thought, and I know as a leader you're always giving credit and feedback to the Carlisle events team, but I thought the 2020 year went off extremely well in light of everything. You actually set a precedent for in-person events during the COVID-19 situation and handled it well with the precautionary measures and the communications and being very proactive and what have you. I thought that you and Bill 2 and Bill 3 and the entire team did an extraordinary job. So hats off to you guys getting through this year and doing it well.
I appreciate it. It was a painful year for all, but, you know, we did manage to get through it, and, you know, we're looking forward to a better and healthier 2021.
Amen to that. Great. Andy, you get in GT racing, I guess you get the final seat time. You take it to the finish line.
All right. There's just a few things on the Track Rabbit side that I didn't get a chance to mention, and as Lance was going through some of the, even talking about some of the struggles of 2020, we've now incorporated e-waivers, which is going to be a contactless signature, so that you're spending less time congested in lines and able to actually do this before you get to the event, and that's a huge thing. We're the first company to put this together in where everything is all combined. With that, we're still probably actually 40% less than our competition within the industry. So one other last thing with TrackRabbit is it doesn't have to just be automotive. We're branching out and planning to go into basically anything where any small group that needs to potentially outsource a registration for a big event, whether that's ticketing, whether that's any sort of event. It could even be 5Ks, 10Ks, runs and races and stuff like that, that doesn't involve automotive. It's the same platform. It's the same sort of white label page that we can apply to any kind of event. So I'm looking forward to the future of TrackRabbit, integrating it even more with our Motorcrush and Awesome Joe platforms, and hopefully really striving through 2021. My social media also is Andy Lally Racing. That's my Instagram, and then you can find me on Twitter as well. It's just Andy Lally.
Excellent. And Lance, did you want to drop any of your handles?
My handle's Race Lance. Go figure. When I tell you I don't race that often.
All right. Well, guys, I know you are extremely busy gentlemen, and I really appreciate you guys taking a chunk of your evening out. And thank you so very much. Would love to have you come back on the podcast as you continue to grow these three areas, maybe get into new elements and what have you. And let's give you that chance to come back in 21 later in the year to talk more.
Awesome.
Sounds good. Thank you for having us.
All right. Thank you, guys. By the way, fans, cubers, followers, Cars of Community, family, have you subscribed to Cars of Carlisle? If not, please do so. That way you will find this episode queued up and ready to go every Tuesday evening or Wednesday morning, depending on where you are in the world. And it'll be set and ready and for you to enjoy and listen to. We appreciate you being such a positive supporter of this show. And you can do that through iTunes by giving us 5 stars, rating through a positive review. Anything like that helps us. In fact, one way that means a lot is just sharing and promoting us, making others aware of this podcast. There are a lot of podcast choices out there, and even a lot of automotive podcasts, but being that we're working so hard to earn your top position on automotive podcasts, thank you so much. Please share us on all your social media channels like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Thank you in advance for getting the word out on the Cars of Carlisle podcast. Also, if you want to help support us financially for all that we're working on and what that goes into the work that we do, find us at paypal.me/Cars of Carlisle. I'd like to thank you for all of that support as well. On behalf of the entire team here at Cars of Carlisle, we hope you enjoyed this week's interview with Andy Lally and Lance Miller. To Lance and Andy, thank you guys for being part of the show and just bringing some great information to everyone. Really enjoyed it and hope to have you back. Let's downshift and go into this week's trivia answer. Just a reminder, the question was, how long is a single lap of the 24 Hours of Daytona race? And the answer is 3.56 miles, or to our friends all over the globe, in kilometers, that would be 5.74 kilometers. So, as you know, the 24 Hours of Daytona has been known under different names based on sponsorship. For instance, now is Rolex 24 at Daytona. But on that 3.56 mile lap, it is a combined road course that has parts, of course, of the NASCAR Tri-Oval, and then it dips down into the infield and winds through a road course section. So, thought that, again, interesting to know that it's 3.5 miles just one time around. And very excited to introduce a new sponsor to the show, and that is Extreme Experience, XTREME Experience, XPERIENCE, and they are all about the experiencing driving an exotic car, a supercar, for anyone to be able to drive on a real racetrack all across the United States, to make a dream come true, or to get behind the wheel of a Ferrari 488 GTB, a Lamborghini Huracan LP610-4, why not a McLaren 570S, a Porsche 911 GT3, a Nissan GTR, maybe even a Dodge Challenger Hellcat widebody. They even have a C8 Corvette Stingray Z51, as well as a Shelby GT500. This is a real opportunity that you can choose your supercar, take 3 laps around an actual road course all throughout the United States. No speed limits. Go as fast as your driving instructor encourages you to go. Helmet is included as far as the entire thing. It is quite the experience. You need to check out theextremeexperience.com, where you have a chance to get behind the wheel of a supercar on a real racetrack. That being said, we are on the proverbial last lap ourselves, guys. The white flag is waving, and it's time to go flat out, pin it to the firewall as we come out of that final turn, heading to this week's finish line. I want to say thank you so much for being a fan. Thank you for being a member of this community. Cars of Carlisle is so glad to have you on board. Be sure to come back next week, and we will be here waiting for you. For now, I will say, drive well, be well, take care.